that is nearby when a crime happens. Okay, so let's say there's somebody is stealing money from a bank. Okay, a bystander is a person who is near the bank who sees what's happening, and they might get hurt because the person has a gun. Okay, so police, superheroes don't like bystanders because they get in the way and they can get hurt. So they often have to save them. The next one is playing with fire. This means you are doing something that will not be good later on. Okay? So for example, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and then you want a second boyfriend or girlfriend at the same time, you're playing with fire. It's dangerous because your first boyfriend or girlfriend could find out, right? And then you might lose both of them. Okay, so that's playing with fire, doing something that might not end well. Okay, so this is from the first story about fire. Okay, about a superhero that can use fire. So you see, we have a lot of words that use the idea of fire in this story. Okay. So this is just for some listening practice, okay? And to get in your mind the idea of a superhero, okay? So, the first one is trial by fire. This is Blaze, and he has the power of fire, okay? So I'm going to read about him to you. I'll go nice and slow. You don't have to remember any of this, but it gives you some listening practice, okay? All right. After years of waiting, Blaze was finally being released from prison. His daughter Iris came to pick him up. Years earlier, they had been in a gang, but now they had both paid for their crimes. Blaze had left the gang and burned his bridges. Okay, so Blaze is the superhero, but he wasn't a good guy before. He was in a gang, and so was his daughter, Iris, and they did bad things. But then Blaze got caught, and he went to prison for many years, and it changed him, right? And so now he left the gang and burned his bridges. Means he wants nothing to do with them, no contact. Okay? So he's going to start a new life. But something happened while he was in prison. "Do you have everything?" Iris asked. Blaze felt in his pocket for a small bottle of medicine. It was the cure for a rare disease he had. But when Blaze had first taken it, his hand had burst into flames. Amazingly, the fire didn't burn him. The medicine gave Blaze the power to make and control fire. This news had spread like wildfire among the prisoners. As Blaze was leaving, another prisoner who was being released bumped into him. Blaze recognized him as Mr. Golden. He had been a businessman with money to burn before he became a criminal. When Blaze reached Iris's car, he felt in his pocket again. The medicine had vanished. Okay, so while Blaze was in prison, he got sick. He got a disease. And then his daughter Iris sent him some medicine, but for some reason, this medicine with his disease gave him the power of fire. Okay, so it gave him fire. But that was not a good thing, because there were other prisoners, other bad guys in the prison that saw this and wanted that power. One of them was named Mr. Golden. Okay, he's the bad guy in the story. Okay, he's the guy that Blaze will fight. Now, when when Blaze was leaving prison, Mr. Golden stole his medicine. Okay, they took it from him. So now Mr. Golden also has the power of fire. So that's going to be a problem, right? Okay. Sometime later, Blaise and Iris heard a news report on the car radio. A downtown bank had caught fire. Blaise asked Iris to drive him there. He intended to use his power to help. Iris burned rubber to get downtown. Drivers shouted, "Where's the fire?" But she didn't slow down. When they arrived, the bank was going up in flames, and police and firefighters were standing nearby. Okay, so as they were driving, they heard on the radio that a bank was on fire. So, goodness. Okay, scary. Blaise can control fire, so he thinks he can help. So they're going to the bank now. Blaise couldn't use his power to put out such a big fire, but he pushed the flames aside to let people out. Okay, so he pushed the fire away so people could escape. But he couldn't make it stop, right? It's too big, so he had to push the fire away. He wasn't content to wait outside. He worried that someone trapped inside might be burned to a crisp. So he's worried that somebody's going to become a crispy French fry inside the bank because it's so hot in there, right? So burned to a crisp. This is something we say in the USA when something is hot and we put food into something hot and it gets very, very burnt, very black and crispy, like a potato chip or a French fry. So that's not good. So he sneaked past the firefighters and went inside. Blaise didn't mind heat, but he had to crawl so he wouldn't breathe in too much smoke. Then he saw someone running toward him. As the man got near, Blaise realized it was Mr. Golden, and he was carrying a bag of money. Okay, so as he's in the bank and rescuing people, he sees Mr. Golden. And what does Mr. Golden carry? Oh my, that's very serious. Yeah, it's raining. Very loud. In the US, we have something even scarier. Do you know a tornado? Yeah. When I was little, maybe 8 years old, I was outside my house and I was playing in the grass, and the sky turned a very strange color. A little blue, a little green, a little yellow, and all the birds were silent. There was no sound. And then we heard the sound of the alarm from my town, and my mom opened the door and told me, "Come inside, come inside." And all the power went out, so no lights, and everything was very quiet. And then the wind became very fast, and so we had to run downstairs and hide. So I think that is scarier than this. Very scary. Okay, so anyway, so Mr. Golden was carrying a bag of money. Is it his money? No. He stole the money from the bank. "Thanks for the medicine," Mr. Golden said. He threw a ball of fire at Blaise and ran outside. The ball of fire missed Blaise. He ran after Mr. Golden and emerged from the building. He saw Mr. Golden throwing balls of fire at the police officers. Okay, so in almost every superhero movie, the police officers want to help too, right? Because they're actually real heroes too. And so they often, the bad guy uses his power on the police officers too. So that's a problem too. But this is hard. Blaze can use fire. Mr. Golden can use fire. How can they fight each other? It's kind of hard, right? Blaze and Mr. Golden began to fight. Iris, Blaze's daughter, helped the bystanders get out of the line of fire. Finally, Blaze hit Mr. Golden and he dropped the bag of money. Realizing he couldn't win, Mr. Golden ran to a car. He fired up the engine and drove away. Police officers tried to follow, but he escaped. The police asked Blaze to help them catch Mr. Golden, and he agreed. When Blaze explained the situation to Iris, she said, "The burning question is, what will Mr. Golden do next?" Blaze didn't know. He realized he was playing with fire, but he was eager to do the right thing. So Mr. Golden gets away. So he's free to run away now, but that means that Blaze might have to catch him again some other time, right? Because a bad guy is a bad guy. They'll keep doing bad things. So, let's see here. If you were Blaze, would you try to help catch Mr. Golden? Would you try to help if you were Blaze? Maybe not. Maybe just go fly somewhere else. Play with fire, have fun, right? Hi, come on in. Hi. Okay, I need your student cards. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And this one. Wow, it's raining really hard outside. I didn't bring an umbrella. I always forget my umbrella whenever it rains. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you're Blaze and you have the power of fire, you can either help the people, or you can catch Mr. Golden, or you can just live your life, right? So you can choose what you want. But if you could have a superpower, what would you want it to be? If you could have any superpower, what would you want your power to be? So we already know two, fire and water. There's flying, right? The power of flying. There's, like Spider-Man, you can use the webs, right? Spider webs.